Welcome to Rajendra Tandon videos. We take up another verse from Bhramar Geet written by Surdas, a 16th century Hindu devotional poet and singer. Surdas is known for his lyrics written in praise of Krishna. These lyrics are written in Braj Bhasha, one of the two literary dialects of Hindi. Surdas was a part of the Bhakti movement spreading across the Indian subcontinent. This movement represented spiritual empowerment of the masses. The corresponding spiritual movement of the masses first happened in South India in the 7th century. It spread to North India in the 14th to 17th centuries. Other poets of the Bhakti movement who are so well known are Chandidas, Mirabai, Kabir and Tulsidas. The genesis of Bhramar Geet poems can be traced to Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Krishna, who was born in a prison cell in Mathura to Vasudev and Devaki, had been under divine orders transported to Gokul to be brought up by Nand and Yashoda. As he grew up there, he became a darling of all the cow mates of Gokul. He played pranks with his mother as well. He stole, along with his friends, butter from anywhere. He broke the pitchers of lassi and milk of the gopis who used to carry them on their head. And once he even took away all the clothes of the gopis who were taking a bath in Yamuna. He climbed a tree and asked them to come forward without any clothing to request for their saris and blouses. As the child grew up, he started playing on flute melodies unheard of before. The gopis became so fond of him that they could not live without him. They danced with him, they danced to his music. And as a divine incarnation, he was able to multiply himself into large numbers of Krishnas, dancing with different gopis at the same time. As Krishna grew up as an adult, he moved to Mathura to fulfill the mission for which the avatar had taken place. That was to kill the cruel Kansa, who had imprisoned not only his father but also Krishna's parents. For years together, those people suffered in imprisonment. When Krishna went to Mathura, the inhabitants of Braj could not reconcile with the loss. The depth of their sorrow knew no bounds. Krishna sent Uddhav to Braj, where he explained the divinity of Krishna to his parents, Nand and Yashoda. He told them that Krishna was formless, unborn, without a beginning and an end, and omnipresent. He advised them to look for this Krishna rather than the child they had brought up. At this stage, the gopis who had assembled by this time took Uddhav aside and probed him to learn as much as they could about their beloved Krishna. They repeatedly chanted Krishna's name. Meanwhile, a black bee droned into this assembly. The gopis taunted Uddhav through the medium of the bee. These verses, therefore, are known as Brahmara Geet. In the verse that we have taken up today, the gopis describe their own eyes, and they say that the poets who have written about eyes have failed to describe them correctly. All the similes given by various writers are inappropriate. The poets have compared their eyes to the chakor birds. The gopis assert that had their eyes been chakor birds, how could they live without looking at the moon face of Sri Krishna? Because chakor survives on drinking the nectar of moon's face. Then their eyes have been compared to Brahmara, the black bee. The gopis say that had it been so, then the black bees would have gone with Krishna, droning about his eyes and his face. But they are there, they have stayed on in Gokul. Therefore, they cannot be compared to the black bees. Another comparison which the gopis mention is that with the Khanjan bird. The gopis say, had the eyes been Khanjan bird, they would have been happy all the time. But they are not. In the absence of Krishna, they are sad all the time. Their eyes have been compared to deer. They say, had their eyes been deer, had their eyes been the eyes of a deer, they would have run away when Uddhav appeared as the hunter. They cannot be even called Lochana, which is a literal word for eyes, because they are alive without the Braj Lochana Krishna and his darshan. The only simile which is to somewhat appropriate according to the gopis is that of their eyes being like fish, because their eyes are always full of water and the fish float in them. गोपियों का कहना है कि उनके नेत्रों के संबंध में जो भी उपमाएं दी गई हैं वे सब अनुपयुक्त और झूठी हैं। किसी कवि ने भी विचार पूर्वक उनके नेत्रों के लिए उपयुक्त उपमान नहीं चुना है। कवियों ने इन नेत्रों की उपमा चकोर पक्षी से दी है, लेकिन यदि वे चकोर होते तो श्री कृष्ण के चंद्रमुख के बिना कैसे जीवित रहते। दूसरे कवियों ने इन नेत्रों की उपमा भ्रमर से दी है, वह भी सही नहीं है। यदि वे भ्रमर होते तो श्री कृष्ण के कमल मुख पर मंडराते ही रहते और उनके चले जाने पर उड़कर वहीं चले जाते जहां कृष्ण गए हैं। ऐसा तो नहीं हुआ। कुछ कवियों ने उनके नेत्रों की उपमा खंजन पक्षी से दी है। खंजन पक्षी तो लोगों का मनोरंजन करते हैं, कभी नाराज नहीं होते, सदैव प्रसन्न रहते हैं। पर हमारे नेत्र तो उड़कर कृष्ण के साथ नहीं गए, वो प्रसन्न भी नहीं है। मृग से भी उनके नेत्रों की उपमा दी गई है, किंतु यदि ये नेत्र मृग होते तो बधिक रूप उद्धव वध करने के लिए यहां आए हैं, तो उन्हें देखकर भाग क्यों नहीं गए? क्योंकि मृग तो जंगल में बधिकों को देखते ही भागते हैं। हमारी आंखों को लोचन भी कैसे कहा जाए, क्योंकि ब्रजलोचन श्री कृष्ण के दर्शन के बिना भी जिंदा है, और प्रत्येक क्षण हमारा दुख बढ़ता ही जा रहा है। इन नेत्रों में कुछ मछली का गुण अवश्य है, क्योंकि जल भर कर भी ये उसे छोड़ते नहीं, सदैव आंसुओं से भरे रहते हैं। भ्रमर गीत is a fabulous combination of virha, grief of separation, Gyan and Bhakti. It is a composition in the face of which Gyan takes a back seat. Here, the entire logic of yoga accepts defeat. All that remains is absolute devotion, Bhakti and Bhakti alone. Surdas is one of the greats of Hindi poetry. He not only enriched literature with emotion and linguistic excellence, but also pioneered a unique tradition in Krishna Kavya. I stop here today. I'll come to you with another verse